A lot of Auburn Tigers had a great game Saturday night, but one in particular was laying the wood.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off, and you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie 5.
So we're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie 5. And dadgummit, we're ready to get after it. I got my man, Ben Taylor from the Auburn Network, one of our bonus episodes that we do weekly. And we got so much fun stuff to talk about. Sylvester Smith was on a different level on Saturday. And we're going to talk about that and this poor child that he picked on the whole game. We're going to talk about that as well. Just overall talk about what's a grade for this team through 2 weeks. Let's talk about that. And then this weekend's another one of those weekends where you just got to handle business and get ready for some big conference games. We're going to talk about all that as well. We're going to jump into that in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to rowback.com. Use coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. Ben is a huge rowback guy, a lot of rowback, and he likes the more obnoxious the print is that just draws Ben to it. So if you like zany, fun prints, they got it. Yeah. And if you want to go classic as well, they got that too. Even got Auburn licensed apparel. Check them out. Save big. Show them some love. It's rowback.com.
I even have a pullover that Kyle rolls his eyes when I show up at the golf course. Just because. But this is rowback. This is normal. This is rowback. This is a normal striped shirt. I mean,
classic, bro.
I'm not wild on this one, but could be. We'll see what I'm wearing next week. How about that? Kyle, I told you coming into this, Sylvester Smith, I thought number one had a good game, but number two, he delivered licks that get teams basically. They never lost the momentum, but you're not going to lose the momentum when you have a guy like the title says, lay in the wood as he did. And you mentioned it. I had no idea that it was the same kid. Goodness gracious alive. That guy probably is going to have nightmares for the next 2 years over Sylvester just basically laying him out every time he laid a hand on him.
That man has a family, Sylvester. That man has people that love him. And it's so funny.
Hit so hard, he may not have a future family. Like he literally – I'm telling you, man, it was unbelievable. And when you said it was 3 different licks that he put on, I'm sitting there going, oh, my goodness, it was the same guy?
You're like, the same guy all 3 times. He hits him on the kickoff, decleats him on the kickoff. And then if it's not the first play, it's the second play from scrimmage right after that. He hits him behind the line. They run a little swing pass, and Sylvester the tight end did like an Olay block. He didn't even try. And Sylvester got by him and smoked him again. And then later in the game, I mean, the most textbook hard hit that you can have without being targeting is like the closest to the line of targeting without going over. Like the Price is Right, closest to the price without going over. He hit him, man, and decleated him. And he had to sit – that guy had to lay down there and think about it for a second. He's like, I got a future. This is not fun. And this guy's picking on me. It could have been bullying. It could have been considered bullying, I think.
I can promise you we've all been there. Anybody that's been a receiver before, I guarantee you that he went or back or whatever, but he went to the quarterback on the sideline during the next series. He said, do not throw me the ball again. Especially if, you know what? If Sylvester's lined up over on that side, specifically do not throw the ball to me.
I got a funny sidebar you just reminded me of, but keep going.
Well, I like that energy in him doing that, because when that happens, when you're at home, because I told you I went home over the weekend. I went to see my dad, so I wasn't here for the game. And when you're at home watching it on television, and after those licks, when you hear the crowd go, oh, whole – I feel real bad for that kid. Like they're more, I think, feeling bad for the kid that got hit than they are for the lick itself. And then they start cheering. Yeah. And then okay, the defense feels that. There's a level of energy that gets brought up, and I think Auburn needs that from time to time because we talked about the defensive performance from the previous week, and I thought licks like that let you know this is what we talked about in the offseason. This is what you're going to get to see, and we got to see it on full display. At least number 9 did, for sure.
Yeah, this reminds me of a story. Number 9, poor guy, reminds me of a story. This is a big-time sidebar, but guy I know was working a chain gang at a game. So when you're working the chain game, you're typically on the opposing sideline. So you're on the opposite sideline as the home side. And they were playing a team, and they were horrible, but they had a running back that was pretty good. I can't remember his name. Let's just say it's Jeff. I think it was Jeff or something like that. Let's just say Jeff. And Jeff is just getting teed off on the whole game, just getting pounded, and they're turning around and handing it off to him every single drive. And so this is later in the game, and the guy says to the quarterback, the coach says to the quarterback, give the ball to Jeff and give it to him 3 times, and then we'll punt or something like that. Or so, I can't exactly remember, but the first play he throws a pass, and the coach calls timeout, and he says, son, I told you to give it to Jeff. And he said, Coach, Jeff said he don't want the ball anymore. He don't want the ball. So it had to be what that guy's thinking, like, geez, quit throwing me the ball. Like, just throw it to somebody else for right now because my chest hurts.
Well, and I mean, it was almost, from a safety perspective, I mean, he just was all over the field. I mean, this was, I don't want to say it was a coming out game, but I think this is kind of what we're going to be privy to see the rest of the season. This is the kind of athleticism that when we kept promoting it all offseason, wait do you see these DBs? Wait do you see the athleticism of these DBs? And then, of course, after game 1, all we heard was the DBs aren't what we thought they were. DBs aren't doing what they're supposed to do. And then I think maybe they probably heard a little bit of that as well. They probably read a little bit of that online. Any player that says, I don't look at anything online, you're lying through your teeth. I think you totally see stuff online. If you don't, one of your buddies sees it and they go, look at what they said about you, and they put their phone up to you. So you've seen it, you've heard it. And I think, as they say, Kyle, I think Sylvester took that personally.
Yeah, and I'm not going to – I think Sylvester would tell you he got picked on in the last game. Baylor picked on him. Now, Baylor turns out they're pretty daggum efficient on offense. They're pretty explosive on offense, but they picked on him. And I'm sure he heard about it. And look, Sylvester has a little bit of an added deal in this to where he's been here. This is his 3rd year, and he hasn't really had that breakout quite yet. Okay. And then when you bring in these new hotshot freshmen, people are starting to say, hey, they're talking about them way more than they're talking about me. So, like, remember, he was one of the first big recruits that Hugh flipped from Tennessee, a big 4-star safety. And to see him, I'm finally, I got myself into a starting role at nickel and had a bad game last game or whatever you want to call it. I mean, they won the game and only held them to 24 points when clearly they're an explosive offense. I want to go out and set the tone. And he was the tone setter on defense for sure. It felt like there was a couple of drives where it wasn't like Ball State threatened, but Kay and Lee got beat on a big 3rd down, and the first or second play of the game should have been a touchdown where we blew a coverage and they overthrew him. And it's like, okay, we're just kind of sleepwalking through this, and then boom, you get the big hit from Sylvester, and then it's like they're not going to gain a single yard from here. It was pretty much over after that.
Everybody's awake now, and that's kind of the way it was, because guys like Sylvester and other defenders are going to have to be able to step up and make those sort of plays, because anytime Falk's on the field, they're doing everything they can to stay away from him. I mean, if I went back and a replay was on yesterday, and so instead of watching NFL, I watched the game again, because watching with my dad, we're kind of sitting there visiting and kind of not paying too much attention. But that was one thing that I noticed. It's like every team is legitimately finding where he is on the field and either adjusting a play, or at least if they suspect where he's going to be, you can tell the play's already going in the other direction. So it's going to take the Sylvester Smiths of the world to step up and go, you don't want to come over here either.
Yeah.
This is, and trust me, 9 will vouch for you. Go ahead and pass his number out to every other team, because they're going to say, you don't want that guy hitting you either. Because you're right. On that 3rd one, he was reevaluating his decision to play football.
He was going to go take up bowling or something like that.
As we would say in high school, he would have been made a basketball player on that play.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. He's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Send him a Christmas present, Sylvester.
Yes.
You tell him, make him feel good about it. Guys, we're going to talk about our grades for the team so far through 2 weeks. We're going to talk about that and handling business against South Alabama here in just a second. We'll be back right after this.
Kyle, we're 2 weeks in.
Yep.
And now it's time to start looking at some grading because you're supposed to make your big jump from week 1 to week 2.
Yep.
I don't necessarily take that into account when you're playing like Ball State. And I don't mean anything bad against Ball State or anything bad against South Alabama. But I think that the true grade of what we're going to see is in 2 weeks when we have to go into Norman and take on Oklahoma. And then you're going to realize, okay, did we fix everything we needed to fix from weeks 1, 2, and 3?
Yep.
So unlike most teams that make their biggest jump week 1 to week 2, I think Auburn gets an opportunity to make their biggest jump from week 1 to week 4 because they get 2 weeks to work on that.
Yeah.
So if you're grading, and I'll go first, if you're grading what on a ABC scale, ABCDF scale, which clearly it's not a D or F because you can't give them that when they win.
Yeah.
I would say right now I'm looking around B to B plus because I think that some things need to be shored up on offense. There's some still, as far as routes are concerned. I think the one thing that I noticed rewatching the game, blocking downfield has been unbelievable out of our wide receivers, which is to ask a lot when you got a bunch of studs in there that just want the ball. They're not did not sign up to make blocks. So for them to do that and carry out that portion of their job, I like that. And so I'd go with B to B plus because defense got a little better from week 1. If they continue to get better against South Alabama and even better against Oklahoma, I think we're looking at jumping into the A range by week 4.
Yeah. I think if I had to give a grade for both sides of the ball, I'm probably giving the defense an A minus, and I'm going to give the offense a B plus. And here's the only reason. I'll start with the defense. That's the best defensive performance we've seen, regardless of opponent, in maybe ever. 68 total yards, and it's just crazy. Like the amount. I think they had negative rushing yards or something like that. It's just something insane.
First time that's happened since Auburn played Florida in 2001.
Which is crazy to think about. That was the monsoon game, was it not? Is that not
it was? And the thing is when I look back at that, it was like negative 50-something yards. It wasn't even it wasn't like it was minus 3 yards. It was minus half a football field.
Yeah, so that was a really good performance. They did bend quite a bit against Baylor, but they didn't break. Made some plays when they had to make them, especially on 4th and goal situations. Had a couple stops there. I like where they're headed, man. That the defensive line plays a lot of people, and they're very disruptive. You cannot run on this team yet. We haven't seen anybody be able to run on them. So
right,
that's going to be something. If you can make teams one-dimensional, that's kind of the goal. Yeah, they're suspect in a few places. I think in the secondary there's some communication issues and things like that. They got to get shored up. I'm not 100% sure about. I think you really need Champ back. But after Champ, it still feels like guys are still kind of learning how to play. There are a lot of flashes, but that's why I'm going with A minus. Offense, I'm going B plus, and I honestly think that's probably too harsh because the offense against Baylor was pretty much flawless, especially from Jackson as far as making the right decisions. And they just did what they had to do and controlled the game and dominated the line of scrimmage. Then you go to Ball State, and I think a lot of what you saw was kind of what you were talking about. Let's don't just continue to do the things we know will work when we have these 2 weeks of teams that we can get better. Right. We can try to better ourselves before we hit conference play. I think they put Jackson in as many stressful situations, and the offensive line. Let's just be like, that's one and the same. Like if you put Jackson in a stressful situation, you're putting the offensive line in a stressful situation. Hugh mentioned one of the sacks. I think the very first sack, you got really long developing routes coming up. That, hey, you're going to get in scenarios where it's going to be 3rd and long, and you're going to have to get 12 yards to get a first down, or 4th and long, and you got to make a big completion. You got to be able to execute that. So the only way to really do that is to kind of force yourself into those scenarios where maybe the risk is not as high as it would be if you were doing this against, say, Kentucky or Vanderbilt,
right,
or Oklahoma. You want to be ready when you play those teams. So I think for the most part, being able to execute, you did have the one turnover that was kind of a freak thing. It was at the end of the game. Like I hate it for Ryan. That was his first reception and whatnot. But I think when they start running that RPO stuff, man, Jackson is flawless. He is elite at being able to diagnose where to go with the ball, and he gets it there quick. He gets it there on the money. And there's just so many things you can do off of that. So I think the sacks obviously have to give you you have to get a little bit of a ding in your grade from the sacks. But overall, I'm going to say B+ on offense, A- on defense. Got a chance against South Alabama, a little bit step up in competition to get both of them up into the high A's.
I also would like to say, and that's another reason I had the offense a little bit low too, because of what I saw out of some of the 2s and the 3s on Saturday. Number one, Deuce is a super freak.
Yeah.
By the way, but number 2, there's a reason Jackson's ahead of him as well. Is people forget he put the ball on the ground a couple of times, and so I'd like to see that, because listen, with Jackson being a running quarterback, he's a snap away from having to have Deuce out there on the field, and he's going to have to hold on to the football in order. And I'm not picking on him by any means. That just clearly that's his first action at the collegiate level. You know, that athleticism he had in high school of being able to kind of hold the ball out instead of tucking it in was doable at the high school level. It ain't doable at Division I level. So I'd like to see him kind of tighten that up a little bit in practice.
Sure. So somebody in the live stream, they commented and said that Deuce Knight was the Angel Reese of fumble recoveries.
He had me bounds. That's what he was doing. He was throwing me bounds.
Look, here's the thing, though. I don't think you're an injury away from Deuce playing. I don't think Deuce is like the true number 2 guy. I think in these scenarios.
Oh, I agree.
When it's blowout, you go to Deuce, and if there's an injury, I think they'd go to Ashton. Ashton's played a ton of football. So I don't think you necessarily have to worry there. But I'm with you. I would have liked to see him a little bit better outing for Deuce. But overall, man, just about as perfect of a first 2 games as you can ask for. Now you got to go handle business against South.
And our guy, Omar Mapson, looked good. He looked good. He didn't get as many opportunities as I wanted him to.
Yeah.
But everything was positive yards when he was in there. And I think that's awesome when you're 17, 18 years old and you come in there and you know, what do you have, 3 or 4 runs, right around 5 yards per run, something around there?
4 carries for 25 yards. It's pretty solid. 6.3 yards a carry with a 13-yarder in there. And Jackson screwed him on the first one. He could have had more. Jackson made a bad pull. I think it's cool that he went in with the starters. Like he went in there right before they started subbing everybody out.
Did you notice when he went in with the starters and he came out there, like Jackson tapped him on the head, like, it's your turn.
Yeah.
It's your time.
Cool,
and then he pulled it. That's what made me
mad
about it. He just congratulated him and tapped him on the head like, man, you're here. You're here in your hometown. I'm not giving you the ball, but you're here in your hometown.
Yeah. Settle down, little guy. Settle down, man. Yeah.
But I was proud of him. It's good to see, too. So, especially since we carry the Auburn High games on our radio stations. Good, you know, we've heard Omar Mapson's name a lot. And so to be able to see it on a Saturday was pretty cool stuff. And but this weekend, get through it, Kyle. Injury-free. Put your points on the – I'm not asking for 75 to be hung up there. I'm asking for everybody to come out healthy. I will say, Daryl said it yesterday when he visited with me. Sun Belt always scares me in times like this. I know that South Alabama is not Baylor, and South Alabama is not South Florida, as Florida learned this past weekend. But South Alabama is somebody that will be disruptive, and it would do nothing better than them to put a fight in order to kind of win some recruiting battles probably within the state for some fringe guys. So I would like to see Auburn just handle business this weekend and come out of this thing injury-free.
Yeah, this should be a real dress rehearsal. I think this is one where you combine what you've learned in the running game and the passing game, and you put a game plan together, a script together, and you go, we're not experimenting. We're perfecting at this point in time.
Yep.
Let's go perfect it against South Alabama. Get them out just run them out of the stadium early, and then do the same thing. Let's work our backups in. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a more efficient offensive game plan against South Alabama, even though it's a step up in competition because of that very thing. I think you take away the let's try things, let's fix things, and it's a real dress rehearsal getting ready for Oklahoma. I'm with you. Let's get out injury-free, handle business, and then move on. And we're going to have a war in Norman in a couple of weeks. It's going to be a ton of fun.
I love it.
Guys, thanks for listening. We'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast, bonus edition. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.